Molly, you in danger, girl. You don't want to be saved. I can't save you. I can't save you because you don't want to be saved. Anyways, hello YouTube. My name is Trey Francis. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. I am my growing YouTuber. I am new here, so any help and all help is very appreciated. I'm just gonna jump right into this video because Molly didn't upset me, and as you guys know, whoever's been watching my videos, I have been a firm supporter of Molly, and I still support Molly. I'm still mostly on Molly's side. However, Twitter was ablaze last night after the latest episode of Insecure, so I don't really think there is much that I can do to sort of salvage Molly's reputation. She is the most wanted in the world right now. No one likes her. I saw someone had to get this, I had to get someone together on Twitter because they tried to come for Yvonne Orji, saying that we gave her a chance with her HBO special and now she's gonna do this tonight. I was like, no. Those are two separate people. Let's not do that. We still have to support Yvonne Orji and her HBO special, which was very good. But let's get into this review because some shit went down. So this is an Insecure review for season 4, episode 9. As we all know, because they told us earlier in the season, but now we officially know this was the episode that Kerry Washington directed, whom we love. And it was written, there was 2 writers on this one. I always like to give writers a shout out since I am a writer as well. It was Grace Edwards and Eli Wilson Pelton. So I do want to say, no, I'm gonna save it. So with the opening image, we see Issa and Lawrence. Lawrence is staring at Issa. He's on one side of the couch, and Issa's on the other side of the couch. Basically, they're laughing, they're talking, they're fucking, they're making love, they're doing work together. It's just this beautiful sort of different, right, relationship. And I loved seeing it around this couch because this couch has been symbolic for them throughout the seasons. And so I love that it's back. It's new. It looks good in Lawrence's place. And here we are with the two of them, these two beautiful black bodies together, just enjoying themselves, touching on each other, talking to each other, just this very good chemistry. It makes you want to be in a relationship. It makes you, it puts what's going on currently in the world into perspective as far as like us not really being around each other, and because you have to self-quarantine, right? I know some things are opening, but I don't think people are jumping in the sack like that. I don't know who's trying to fuck out here, but maybe some people are, but social distance. So anyways, Lawrence inquires about a song, and this is when we see Issa. She receives a text from Nathan. He's looking for her to meet up with him later in the week because Nathan is moving out of his place that he and Andrew shares, and he has his own place, and he basically wants Issa to come over and help him unpack. That is the pretense, right? He wants Issa to come over and help him unpack. So Issa she's very forthcoming. This is new for Issa, at least in my opinion, with Lawrence about what's going on. So she says, hey, I used to date this guy in the past while we were doing our own separate things. Is it cool if I still go over and help him? And Lawrence kind of makes a joke about it or whatever the case may be. And Issa is like, well, I don't want to mess this up. And she goes, what is it again? And Lawrence is like, well, what do you want it to be? And I was just like, ooh, well, with all this stuff we done did, what you want it to be, because I hope you didn't do all this stuff to me and then you trying to, dip. Because as we know, Lawrence does have this whole San Francisco thing in the back of his mind, right? Because he saw some job opportunities out there. He has an interview that he's going to go to later on in this episode. And so it's just like, you didn't fuck me and kiss me and touch me and hit me and fill me up in all the right places to be like, you about to ditch, right? You about to bounce. So yeah, we find out that Lawrence has one more interview in San Francisco, and that's basically that scene. So then we see Molly at therapy, and she's, of course, complaining about Issa, which, as we know, Molly is a complainer. She is a complainer. But I understand it because we have to look at the psyche of it all. We have to look at we have to look at what each individual in this series is going through personally within their own selves, and why it is that they act the way in which they act. And so for Molly, I just kind of feel like she very much so has trust issues. And I think a lot of that stemmed from when she found out that her father cheated on her mother. You know what I mean? It created these trust issues within her, and I think that is a big piece of the puzzle that people are forgetting when it comes to Molly, and why she sort of, is not so, she's been sort of not people's favorite person this season, right? So basically, so Molly basically tells her therapist, that Issa is the one who needs to apologize. She's like, because Issa was the one who was out of line, which we can all agree, and I've said this before, and I will agree to it, that Molly was definitely out of line when she confronted Issa at her function, at the block party. However, leading up to that, Issa was hella out of line for all the things that she did not do, as far as meeting up with Molly, as far as going behind someone's back and still talking to their man, because that is a big issue for me. And I know some people in my life who don't even, they man can be at the same party as you, they don't even want you talking to the man. You can't even laugh. Like, if he laughed, it's an issue. If y'all both laughing together, y'all both laugh at the same joke, they want to fight. So people, like, we got to be honest. When it comes to your significant other, people are it's a very touchy-feely sort of thing, and people aren't always cool with you talking to their man. So anyways, so as Molly's complaining and she's saying that they were out of line, Dr. Rhonda actually agreed with her, but she says, do you want to be right or do you want to be in a relationship? And I think that stuck with Molly. It hit Molly. Like, Molly was like, well, damn, you know what I mean? Because in a lot of these instances, when Molly is complaining about something, she is right. She is right. She is right. However, I think you can only complain about things so many times before people get fed up, and they're just like, because this happened to me recently, and this is actually why I lost one of my best friends recently. But anyways, like a year ago, recent. Over a year now, recent, like a year and a half. But anyway, because it's a lot of complaining about the same shit, and you're just like, well, if you're tired and you're fed up, then what are you gonna do about it? How are you gonna change the situation, and so that you're no longer going through the same stuff? Because I can only help you through this so much. I've already given you advice. We already talked about it. Stop complaining about the same shit and figure it out. Do something. Change something. Do whatever needs to be done. Figure that shit out, right? So then we go over to Issa. So Issa, she's at her place. She's working on some stuff. And then this is where we see Nathan. He actually asked, can Issa come over and help him move? And Issa says yes, because, right, she had the conversation with Lawrence, so she's now agreeing to go over and assist him. So we see Issa. She's kind of like in this weird sort of funk. And so she calls Kelly. Kelly's busy, like she goes to voicemail, so she doesn't get her. Then Issa calls her brother. He's messy and he doesn't really help Issa out in any way, shape, or form. And so then Issa ponders calling Molly, but she's nervous because she's wondering, will Molly bring up her being a user? Nothing but a user, which we gotta be honest, Issa has very much so user tendencies. She has very opportunistic tendencies. And so, and I wrote, like, if you fear that is what someone will bring up, then you probably feel / know that is something that is true about yourself, because I would never. So, Issa still calls Molly, though, right? Despite, this is the first, because Issa said some messed up shit later on in this episode where I was just like, nah, girl. But this is the first attempt that Issa, the one and only, the singular attempt that Issa has made. Primero, the first attempt, the only attempt, right? Solamente, like, we're going to say all the words. The only attempt that Issa has made thus far this season to actually meet up and talk to Molly, right? The only. So she calls Molly, but it goes to voicemail. And Issa, over voicemail, she asks if they can meet up. So now we see Issa. She's at the diner. She's at a diner. She's sitting there by herself. She's nervous. So she orders them a couple of drinks, some mimosas, I think it was. And then Molly comes in. And let me just say, Molly, Molly never, ever. Molly is always dressed. Molly never looks bad. Ever. There's never a bad look on Molly. they dress Molly. They dress Molly. Molly is always dressed. Always. Yvonne Orji, first of all, is gorgeous. The way they dress her character Molly in this series is just fire. Like, she always just look hot. But anyways, so Molly walks in and she sits down, and it's very awkward at the beginning because Issa's trying to find an end, which to me is like some people saying this on Twitter. To me, saying the opposite of this. People are like, oh, well, Issa extended it, so Molly should have brought up stuff. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, sir, and no, ma'am. If you call me to a meeting, this is your meeting. You need to lead the meeting. So it was incumbent upon Molly to sort of be like, oh, well, these are all the things that have been bothering me and we need to talk about it. Because Molly's already been trying to do that. When Molly was having her moments of trying to hit Issa up and talk to her, you saw Molly trying to lead the conversation. This is Issa's moment. Issa hit her up. Girl, what do you want since you hit me up? Why are we here? Issa needs to come up with something, right? So Issa's awkward, right? As always. She can't come up with anything to say. And so the conversation was just very surface level, right? So they basically shoot the shit and they have a good time, seemingly, right? It's very surface level. There's nothing beyond it. And they end with Issa paying for lunch, which is new because Issa, usually Molly's the one that's taking care of things like this. But Issa pays for lunch and then she invites Molly over on the day that she's supposed to be helping Nathan. She invites Molly to come along or whatever case may be. So then we see, after this, Molly, Andrew's at his place. It looks like he's talking to his brother. Molly comes in. She's clearly upset. And she basically tells him that she met up with Issa and that they didn't talk about the elephant in the room, which is all the shit that's been going down, right? And she says it actually felt very superficial. So then Andrew asks if Molly brought it up. Like, did she bring up any of her concerns to Issa? And Molly says it didn't look like Issa wanted to talk about that shit, so I didn't bring it up. Which, that's how I am to a certain degree, because I've been in this situation before. I'm usually the friend that will hit the other friend up and be like, hey, like, we need to talk. And then when I do that, I bring up what I said we need to talk about. Does that make sense? If the other person hit me up, even if I sense that they hit me up because they want to talk about the shit that has been going on between us, that's been having us sort of be walking on eggshells, and then we meet up and they don't bring it up, I'm not gonna bring it up either, because the onus is on you. This is your meeting, like I said earlier. This is your moment. What do you want to tell me? What do you want to say? Because you hit me up. You see what I'm saying? So I didn't agree with Andrew saying that. I understand it, but I didn't agree with it because I feel like that pressure shouldn't be on Molly when she's already had several attempts. So at this point, Molly, to me, it's not about begging, because people are saying like, oh, it looks like Molly wanted Issa to beg for her friendship. It's not about begging, but I want you to put in an effort, more than just a phone call and more than just inviting me out to brunch or whatever that was. Like, what effort is that without having a true, full, and honest conversation? I don't get it. So anyway, so yeah, Molly asks, well, what was she supposed to do? And Andrew says that she could meet Issa halfway, and I was just like, okay, he bugging. And at this point, this is what really pissed me off. This is the one thing, I guess, that where I'm really severely on Molly's side, in defense of Molly. I wrote in my notes, this is exactly what Molly was talking about when she told Issa not to involve her man. Because now she has Andrew, who doesn't know everything, right? He's very much so an outsider to the relationship of Issa and Molly. He doesn't know everything that's been happening between the two of them. And so he's trying to piece it together. And a lot of people were saying, oh, like, Andrew's getting tired of Molly and her games and this, and this, and this, and this. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think what he's more or less tired of is maybe seeing his girlfriend, right, not be in a good place with her best friend. And so he and I don't like seeing how someone else is. I'm going to try to step in. If that's my friend, I'm going to try to, or someone I'm dating, I'm going to try to step in and be like, okay, well, hey, like, maybe you should, I'm going to do the same thing basically that Andrew was doing, but it doesn't come from a place of, because I'm about to leave you if you don't, you know what I mean? It's more or less coming from a place of, I care for this person and I hate to see you hurt. And so I'm trying to appease. I'm trying to, and Andrew is really playing, like, if we want to be honest, Andrew's sort of playing devil's advocate like his brother was doing 2 episodes ago. He's sort of doing that. He's sort of just trying to calm Molly down, right? So that she can actually think clearly and understand, I think, a different perspective. Because I have a note about this later on in my notes, but let's just keep going. But I don't think he's over Molly or that they're going to break up. I don't think that is where this show is going. It could. Some of y'all could be right, but I don't necessarily think that is what's going on. But this is why I said Issa should have left Molly's man alone. Don't fucking talk to my man when I told you to leave him alone in the first place. Like, I'm not joking around about that shit, because I'm very much so like Molly in that place. It has nothing to do with jealousy. It has nothing to do with being vindictive. It has nothing to do with... It has everything to do with... We needed to have a conversation months ago. We needed to have a conversation a long ass time ago. And the fact that you were unwilling to meet me halfway, and just I might meet her halfway, you were unwilling to meet me halfway, right? When I kept trying to reach out to you and say, hey girl, like, we need to talk. Come on. Come on. So that's my defense of Molly, but we're gonna get to some stuff later. So ooh. So then Andrew brings up he tells Molly that Victor has invited them out to like a game, like a Spurs game or whatever the case may be. They're in LA, I guess, playing the Lakers or whatever. Or I don't even know if it's a Spurs game. It's whatever team that Kawhi Leonard is on at this moment, because he keep hopping around, but whatever. And Molly's kind of just like, you know what? You should just make it a boys' night. Like, I really don't want to go. And I'm going to be honest. I would have probably done the same thing as Molly in this instance too. The last time we talked to your brother, which I'm surprised by a lot of us, because I'm just like, well, what's going on in America right now? We really sitting up here saying that Molly should have went to something that made her feel uncomfortable. So these are ways that Molly is setting up boundaries. Her therapist literally told her this, and y'all just disregarded what a therapist said about setting up boundaries. That is a complete and clear boundary. If I'm telling you about how race affects me as a Black person, no one else that isn't Black can tell me about my experience as a Black person and think we about to be kikiing the next week. It's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. So I'm confused that some people think it's okay for her to just drop her boundary and just be like, oh, I'm going to hang around him. He's yet to apologize. Andrew said that, I guess, that the next day when they were still in Mexico, he talked to him and he apologized for his actions to his brother. But I'm like, where's the apology owed to me? Because you disrespected me as a Black person. I'm telling you about my experience as a Black person. How dare you negate and invalidate my feelings about my experience that you could never and will never experience in your lifetime because you don't have brown skin. Like, fuck off. So yeah. So then it looked like Issa had a little meeting with her assistant. That goes well. So she gets in her car, she receives a call from Lawrence, and Lawrence feels that his interview went well. He's very excited about his interview. I'm excited about Lawrence's interview, although, seeing him and Issa back together just makes you want to continue to see them be together. You know what I mean? And Issa brings up that she actually hung out with Molly, and Lawrence was just like, well, how did that go? And this is the part where I'm like, Issa can be clueless. She's clueless a lot of times. She doesn't pick up on things, and to be someone who is, I just gotta say it, as old as she is, you gotta know better. You gotta know better. I'm sorry, I don't give people, especially in your 30s, Issa's in her 30s, she's 30, 31, I can't continue to make excuses for you at this age for why you can't be an adult and and confront someone. I can't. Or why you can't see clues. If this is your best friend, because people, like I said, people are putting way too much weight on Molly's side. If this is your best friend, you think what Issa just said, she thinks this is how Molly would. I'm confused, but this is what Issa said. So Lawrence said, how did it go? Issa says, it went really well. I mean, we didn't really get that deep into stuff, but I know how she is. She's still cooling off. In a couple weeks, I'll invite her to self-care Sunday, and then boom, we're back. Really, sis? That's it? The person who's been trying to talk to you for months now, repeatedly, that's it? She's just cooling off and you're going to invite her to self-care Sunday and we're back on. Yeah. No, ma'am. That is not how this works. That is not how this works. If you know your best friend. Because that's not how Molly, that's not how Molly rolls. That's just not how she rolls. So I'm just like, really? Like, that's what Issa surmised? Like, that was her conclusion? That was her... Hey, we shall see. We shall see. So then Issa meets up at Nathan's new place. I wrote Nathan's voice though, because I don't know what it is, but Nathan's fucking voice, that voice will make you want to do some things. That voice will make you want to do some things. But anyway, it was awkward. It was an awkward greeting between Nathan and Issa because as he comes in to kind of give her that full body hug that, you know, that will make your knees buckle if it's the right one, right? Ooh. Anyways, we won't talk about me. But he comes in to give her that full body hug. And Issa just like, oh shit. Like, nah, like, what's up? She kept calling him bruh. Issa was like trying to dab him. She was trying to like, I was just like, nah, this ain't it. And he was kind of looking like, what the fuck is going on? So Issa goes in there. She's just like, hey, just put me to work. And he's like, okay, well, we can start unpacking these boxes. So Issa chooses a box on this side of the room. And Nathan goes and he stands shoulder to shoulder next to her. You know, sometimes that body heat be so intense. And if you stand up too long, you might end up on top of each other. So Issa's like, I gotta separate myself. So Issa's like, I'm gonna go all the way over here on this other side and we'll do this box. And Issa's just like, oh, well, what's going on? So Issa asked him, well, how have things been? And Nathan said that his old boss is retiring and that him and a friend of his is gonna pick up where the old boss that they're gonna buy him out, right? And Issa's like, oh, that's cool, that's dope. And Nathan basically is like, well, you need to hurry up and get your business up and running because I'm gonna need some help with some advertisements and stuff like this. And he's like, I'm pretty sure we can work something out. And there's a sexual tension, there's a sexual chemistry, there's a sexual innuendo, right? And so Issa feels awkward about it. And so she's just like, oh, wait. Hold on. So you remember that person I told you about? My ex, Lawrence? We fucking again. Like, we back together. And he was like, what did he say? Because I want to get it right. Because he started reading them real quick. He said, oh, here we are. He was like, the one you cheated on? And I was like, damn. Damn. And Nathan kind of laughs it off or whatever. Issa's like, well, what's funny? And Nathan goes, I thought you were over that shit. He seems some timing. And Issa goes, well, he's not. And Nathan says, okay, my bad. Well, let's hope he keeps his shit together this time. And so Issa fires back, well, at least he knows how to use his words and he doesn't disappear. And Nathan was like, well, I didn't disappear. And this is where he says that he was diagnosed with bipolar when he went back home to Houston. And Issa apologized for it, and she says, I'm sorry you were going through all of that and I didn't see it. And I wrote in my notes, that line right there, I'm sorry you're going through all of that and I didn't see it. That sentence right there is the sum root of all the problems between Issa and Molly. They both are unwilling to see how much the other person is going through. They're only seeing things from their own perspective, which is one of the worst things you can do. That is literally that's literally it. That line is particularly for Issa, though, because Issa, what she said earlier was some fuck shit, and I don't know how you think Molly is just gonna roll over and things are gonna be good. Like, she's just gonna wake up one day and be like, oh yeah, we're back on. That's not Molly's makeup. That's not who she is as a person, so I don't know how Issa came to that conclusion, but oh well. So anyway, Nathan says he got some clarity on the type of people that he wants in his life, and he says that Issa is one of them. And so things get awkward, and then he kind of says a joke, they laugh about it, they move on. But he Issa says they can just be friends, and he's like, yeah, all right, whatever. And I think to him, he's gonna continue to try to do what he want to do because men be doing that kind of stuff. But anyways, Molly arrives at Andrew's place with some dinner. They get into a small argument about Molly not showing up because the brother, this was supposed to be a peace offering with the brother. But Andrew has to realize the last time I saw him, he said some fuck shit. Right now, I need some space and time to put myself back together. Like, she just started going back to therapy, so she called, and so we know why she's going, because she's saying she's having troubles with letting things go. So she needs some time to be able to let that shit go and move on. And he was like, well, that's my brother. You just ain't gonna never talk to him again. She's like, I need space, I need time. And she questions him about, like, well, what I'm concerned about is why you thought it would be cool to invite me to something that would make me uncomfortable. And this is why sometimes dating can be hard, because people don't always see it like that. People think you're just supposed to move on. No. In the words of Solange, I got a lot to be mad about. No. It ain't, things aren't that, and at me, this point in my life, I ain't taking shit. I'm just not doing it. And a lot of us should stop taking shit. So that's all I'm gonna say. So then, where are we? So then, so they're there, right? And here in comes Issa and Nathan. Because remember, Andrew and Nathan, this was their apartment. He still has some stuff there. And so in walks them, and they need to get the rest of his boxes, right? So then, as they're trying to get the stuff, Molly ends up inviting them over to stay for dinner. They agree. We see the next scene opens up. They're laughing, they're talking, they're reminiscing on the past, on how things used to be. They start to talk about a game that they used to play, basically like celebrity height. And if you say a celebrity name, everyone in the room got to guess the height of celebrity. If you get it wrong, you got to drink. So Issa suggests, hey, like, let's play the game. And you still kind of see Molly being hesitant, like, this kind of rodeo, like, we about to play games and shit. And then Andrew kind of looks at her or whatever, and Molly's like, okay, like, bet. Like, go get the bottles, like, we'll play. So we see them playing, the bottle get low, Andrew gets up to go get another bottle, and as Andrew gets up to go get another bottle, Molly texts him saying, hey, like, see, like, I'm trying with her. See, I'm trying with her. Unbeknownst to her, she sent the text to Issa. So Issa gets the text and writes it back, I don't think this was meant for me. So right as Andrew approaches with the bottles, so they can continue to play, Issa hops up and say, you know what? I'm gonna get the fuck up out of here because Molly trifling. And so Issa storms up out of this bitch. Nathan's like, Issa. And Molly's like, no, wait. Like, I'm gonna go talk to her. Let me handle this. I fucked some shit up. So Molly runs outside after Issa. This is where all the shit went down. So now we're outside. Okay, so yes, here we go. So Molly apologizes. The first thing she did was just like, okay, big on her, right? The first thing she says is that she apologized for what she wrote. She didn't mean for Issa to see that, but that's actually how she's been feeling. And she said this whole thing and like the lunch, this dinner and the games and stuff, it all has felt so forced for her, right? Which that would be a force for me, because if anyone knows me, I do not do fake. If I ain't fucking with someone right now, don't invite me to nothing they at, and you can't come over to my place, ain't going where you at. You can't be around me. Like, I need to process, and each person's process is different. That time, that space is different. You have to respect that for that person, right? So Molly's just like, well, that's actually how I felt. Everything has been feeling so forced lately. And so Issa says, well, I was trying to get us back to where we were, but I didn't realize it was so hard for you to be around me. And you said you're trying, but it feels like I'm the only one who's putting in effort. And I was like, Issa, you're lying. But okay, let's just continue. So Molly said, by inviting me to brunch and playing some drinking games, we haven't even talked about what's really been going on. And so Issa says, because she didn't know that Molly wanted to talk about it. And I was just like, again, that don't make sense, because Molly's hit you up several times since the second episode. We're on episode 9. She's hit you up several times saying, hey girl, we need to talk. I want to talk to you. Let's have pie time. Let's do this. Let's do that. Like, there's been several conversations now, right? Okay, let Issa tell it. Molly don't want to talk. So then Issa says, So then let's talk about the block party then. And Molly's just like, so you just want to skip over all the other fuck shit that went on and just jump to the thing that's is in defense of you, right? Yeah, I know I fucked up, but you just want to talk about that. What about all the other things leading up to this? And so Molly says it's bigger than that. Like, we've been off for months. And Issa says, that's why I reached out. But I can't be the only one that want to make it work, Molly. And I was just like, now Issa, the only one? Like, we're just gonna let go of all the months of Molly trying, and just because you made one attempt, one singular attempt, now you the only one who trying. Okay, girl. Whatever. I hate when people do that. That irks my nerves when people start saying, I can't be the only one, and I'm the that works my nerves. But anyways. So then and Molly looked at her like, sis, I know you didn't just say that. So Molly goes, well, maybe who we both are now just doesn't fit anymore. And Issa goes, okay. And Molly's just like, okay, sis, like, that's all you have to say. And Issa's like, well, what else is there to say? And so Molly's like, okay, bet. So Issa's Uber pulls up. Issa gets in the car. She drives off. Molly turns around and she walks back into her place. And that is the closing image. That is what we see. So basically, we see this friendship torn apart. The two have gone their separate ways. I don't particularly think that the two of them are actually going to speak anymore this season in person. I think that is done. They're definitely going to make us wait till next season to see how this all unfolds, which is fine. As far as Issa and Lawrence is concerned, I think Lawrence is going to make a decision by the end of this episode, because by the end of the season finale, which is the next episode, because that would make some of us pissed off, right? Especially if he chooses San Francisco, which I think is going to be the choice that he makes. It just makes sense as a writer and just what you want to see on TV. You got to have drama. So this is a dramedy. This is a 30-minute, half-hour dramedy. We need that. So I think that's the decision that Lawrence is going to make. But you guys let me know. Do you think Lawrence and Issa are going to stay together? Do you think Lawrence is going to choose San Francisco? Also, let me know if you think that one sentence where Molly was like, well, maybe who we are right now just doesn't fit anymore. Was Molly fucked up for saying that? Which I think she was, and I think that was the consensus online. However, I think there comes a time where you're just like, well, I'm done trying. Like, I've done it. And for you to negate all of my attempts, it's like Beyonce. The first time I said no, it's like I never said yes. Like, Molly has done several attempts. Like I said, when people get to talking in absolutes and stuff like that, that shit pisses me the fuck off when you know I've been already trying and you sit up here and say, oh, I can't be the only one attempting to make this friendship work. What are you talking about? I've had several attempts. Several. You're never free. You're always busy. So I was just over it when Issa said that. But you guys let me know what you thought of this episode. Again, please consider subscribing if you are new here. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, hit the like button and leave a comment down below. And that is all that I have for you all. And so I will see you in the next one. Bye.